the Hankooks, it's a bit more pointy when you're entering the corner. While the Coopers, you maybe need a little bit more of steering lock. And the rain tires, to be honest, the Hankooks really surprised us. They are really, really good tires. They have really a lot of amount of grip. It's like driving in the dry. That for us, it's really surprised, no? Because we thought that already the Cooper tires were really good because it's an English tire for English weather. So to drive the Hankooks was really impressive. And yeah, that's the main difference.
Sebastian mentioned 2009 and the double diffuser. Adrian, can you confirm or not that you actually had that design yourself and you were told by Charlie that it wouldn't be legal?
I think in hindsight, that whole thing wasn't actually about what the regulation said and how they could be interpreted. It was the whole thing of really Max Mosley's stand against the teams, particularly Ferrari and McLaren, and we kind of got caught in the crossbar.
We've done a good work on my training side. Has been incredible. As I say, I've never been that fit. This fit in my whole career in Formula One. So, and I still have 1 month to go. So I think I will arrive in a great shape in Melbourne, and I will be ready for a very busy season.
I was doing some work for Toro Rosso, and so I did a few runs, and the guy said, "Oh, when we finish this set of testing, Christian wants to see you in his office." So I was like, "All right, maybe beauty, maybe not. We'll see." And so I was calm, but inside, obviously, very excited.
And how did Christian phrase it?
He just goes, "Yeah, so you're gonna have to go to Salzburg on Monday." And we're going to announce it there that you're our second driver for next year. So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Even if I still not having a good result, to say, but I don't think it's coming just from because I was slow or not on the pace. I think it was because of different reasons.
But that spin in Canada, you could have been in really good shape.
This I put myself completely in the over the table, because it was my mistake. I mean, I don't know. I still don't know why I made that mistake. I was not trying to brake late. I was not trying to do anything. But I touched the curb, my rear went away. So unfortunately, because it was a great possibility to do a good race,
So I'll go P2, yeah, that's how I signal the P2. So once you're there, you'll fire it up, it'll be jacked up when we start up, and you'll be on the ground rush. Yeah. So we'll start, and then you'll go from isolate to run. Yeah. Okay? Which then the car will settle down to its ride-on position. Yeah. So once you're there, I'll watch it to make sure it's settled down. Yeah. I'll give you the thumbs up, which is then full clutch, select first gear. Yeah. Put away as a normal clutch. Yeah. That's the only time you use the clutch. Yes. Yeah. What you can do, and I'll confirm this with the electrician, our data guy here, is once you're going, if this particular bit here is bumpy, when you're in first gear, you can switch it back to isolate, and it will jack it up to go over the bumpy bit, and then back to run. Yeah. You only do that in first gear. Yeah. So, and once you're in run again, and you're happy, you're away. Just normal paddle changes. Obviously, the first run we want to be particularly careful because these cars run low. Yeah. I'm not sure what it's like. Everything just to run up, run down. Then you come back here again. You can switch to isolate, same as in first, jack her up, obviously down to neutral. I think what we're going to do is we're going to stop you the other side of the tyres, and we'll push in. Okay? Yeah. Yeah, that's what the Renault Grands were. Yeah, one.
We have a fully fledged umpire here, one of these cantankerous Midlanders who's going to give us a lot of trouble from that. Brian Redmond looking absolutely superb in his umpiring kit. So Brian, any contentious decisions so far that have had to be made?
Well, unfortunately, they've given up with using LBW, leg before wicket, in which I managed to get Alan Kennedy out 2 years ago, which he's never forgiven me. And now you can't be LBW, so that's really taken a lot of fun out of it.
Well, Brian, the big question there is DRS, which, as you know, in cricket is the dismissal referral system, and in Formula One is the drag reduction device. And I'm wondering about the confusion now as we blend motor racing with cricket, and whether or not we're going to be actually referring any of your decisions to computer imagery.
Well, I think I shall, because it's certainly the latest technology. And I'm being called.
You're being called. Anyway, you're going to resort to the technology, Brian.
And I shall resort to technology if necessary.
Jarno, thank you so much for joining us, and it's good to see you again after all this time. What have you been doing? What have you been doing the last year? What is your life like now?
Well, my life hasn't changed a lot, to be honest, apart from the fact that I'm not racing anymore. But I'm quite busy in all the other business, and I'm still doing a lot of sports. At the moment, I'm involved in the hotel business as well as in the wine business. You know that I've been producing wine for the last 13 years, which is a family business. On the other hand, I acquired a hotel in Davos. It's a ski resort. Davos is the place where every year we host the World Economic Forum. And the hotel has been awarded as the best hotel of the region. I think maybe it's the fact that there are a few reasons probably why I'm not missing racing. First of all, I always thought that after racing there is another life, and there is plenty of things to do in life. So if you really are creative and you are dynamic as I am, you obviously want to build up something new or move on. Then I think that I've been racing for more than 30 years, so it's quite a big part of my life.
Rob, what about Romain Grosjean's race engine? What's going to happen to that? Ha ha ha.
I suspect that one will, despite everything, it'll receive particular attention when it comes back, because we need to know why it broke. Initial impressions are that it's something in the area of the piston. We know that because there's an inspection hole in the side that allows us to look in.
If you were going to race at the Nürburgring, the old Nürburgring, or Spa, you always had to be prepared for a situation where here you were dry, there you were wet, etc. Weather conditions very frequently were quite different all around the circuit. I saw this on motorcycles when I was racing there, and obviously in the cars. We sat on a grid. Of course, you didn't have to make a decision about rain tyres, etc., because there were no rain tyres. There was one tyre, and this was a treaded tyre, though different makes.
Yeah, because you were on the Dunlop white spots, I think, and I recall Lorenzo, your teammate, actually switched to the Dunlops just before the race to be on the same tyres as you.
Well, and we had a situation, actually in the race, tyres played a part of it, in that Joachim, who was the main opposition with the Cooper Maserati, Joachim Rindt, had the tyre which had the larger grooves, etc. in it, and this, when the torrential rain came, that really sort of helped a little. So that brought about the tactics that I played in the race, because I went off and Rouge, and then up the hill and down into Bourneville. Some people call it the Cocoa Bends. Bourneville, this long right-hander which keeps on going and was so vital to get right for the speed which would take you all the way down to the far side of the circuit. And going into Bourneville, what did I get? Those ominous spots and everything else of rain all coming on my goggles. And so, and immediately the thing was, take a wider line. Off the normal racing line for a bit of precaution. And the same thing applied. And the rain intensified as we went round, and then the sort of second lap, third lap, it really came down. And of course you had all that carnage where cars went off this way, that way and everywhere. In this day and age, of course, immediately there'd be a safety car or a red flag, but no, it didn't happen. And
I mean, but it looks pretty cool, this track. I mean, wouldn't it be cool to go back in time and see just how it was,
Well, how quick would Lewis Hamilton have been here next to Jim Clark, Eugenio Castellotti, Chris Amon, Fangio, Moss? I mean, it'd be really interesting to know.
Just to know,
we'll never know.
No, of course.
But lots of fans around the world love talking about things like that. And for you, now you've seen this, what do you think would be the best corner here? What's the corner that would have got you?
I think Masta.
The Kink.
Is it
there.
Masta? Yeah, the Kink. I think it's not really much of a kink, but it's kind of a long, draggy kind of, obviously flat out almost chicane. But I mean, I reckon that would, especially when you get to the bridge part, the second part of it. Yeah, I think that would have been the most fun.
But I'm not a racing driver anymore, and while I may have the instinct, the intuition and the competitiveness within me, I know that my time was from the early 70s up until 1990 when I effectively retired. Having had a career as a Grand Prix driver and sports car racing, I'm comfortable with that. I have got no desire to jump into an historic race car, because that's really all that would be available. I've done it, I've loved it, it's been my life, it is still my life. But I'd rather now go back down to the beach at Bognor Regis on a good spring tide, a late evening, early nighttime spring tide, end of May, June, do a bit of beach casting. It's just, that's where you've moved into.
John, you were very close to Nicky during his comeback into Formula One. You were very close to Alan Prost in the early days of his career. What do you think about Michael's comeback?
Well, I'm a Michael fan. I think it's been extremely tough, and I think taking out 3 years, as he did do, and I mean, I was never happy with him riding motorbikes, and as a former 7-time world champion, riding a motorcycle, be it a super sport bike as he was doing, or even a MotoGP bike, is diametrically opposite to driving a Grand Prix car. And he was using his Grand Prix experience riding a motorbike, and I know that because Jeremy McWilliams, who was a well-known a Grand Prix winner in MotoGP and in other forms of motorcycle racing, helped Michael on occasions. And Michael would ride the motorbike, come to a corner, stand the thing in its nose, and then just throw it into a corner. With the motorbike, you don't do that. You've got to blend it into the corner. So when he came back, clearly the car last year was very much still the legacy of the Braun era, 2009. And Michael didn't get on with the car, but principally he didn't get on with the way tyre development had gone.
The first time I really thought, bloody hell, this is a corner, was Pedal Bend. It's just so unique with the hill that you just drop, you drop away. And in F3 it's a mega corner. You almost can do it flat. I think if it wasn't for the dip down, you could do it flat, but you just have to lift because the car goes light, and yeah, it's just a brilliant corner.
So we did the testing, and then we got a new transporter built, not a new vehicle, but it was an old 3-litre Austin, and we did most of the work on it, all the opening sides and the twin ramps on it. And so of course we drove off down to Silverstone, tested the cars together with Tony Hegborn, who was going to be our other driver, and everything seemed fine. And then we started racing with them, and they were pretty successful. And then it came to a race, I think Crystal Palace. There was 4 races: Crystal Palace, Snetterton, Silverstone, Alton Park, where Colin wanted Jimmy to drive the car. I said that's fine. So he drove and I drove the other car, and he ran all 4 races. I was second, which is par for the course. And that was it. That was how Norman racing really got underway. The cars were virtually identical, but my car probably suited me, so obviously it felt to me a little bit better. Jimmy got in the other car, and it was just so natural with him. He just drove it, and he was that much quicker. You know, I couldn't stay with him, however hard I tried. And I could probably honestly say that my car might have been a little bit better, but he was such a superb driver that he was always that much quicker.
Formula Junior, what a great category.
It was. I mean, it was, you know, it was created to find a new generation of Italian racing drivers.
A bit like Tony George created IRL to create a new generation of American racing drivers. Didn't last long, but
no. And of course, Formula Junior eventually grew into Formula 3, as you know, as has been ever since. But this is a Stanguellini, and it's very like, I remember thinking it was just like a sort of baby van wall, isn't it? Very similar. I love the offset cockpit and everything, and a lot of people, you know, made their name in these things. One of them being Lorenzo Bandini, who obviously, you know, eventually drove for Ferrari for many years. Bandini was racing one of these in 1959, and winning a lot of races, and you know, making a name that led to Formula One.
I mean, Chris drove with Lorenzo obviously in '67, and they won the Daytona 24 Hours
and the Monza.
And he was very fond of Lorenzo.
He was extremely fond of Lorenzo, yeah, and they'd sort of known each other for a while, but when Chris joined Ferrari at the end of '66, they just completely hit it off. They just became very, very good friends from the word go. And it was just terribly sad the way things went. They started off like with this sort of dream start, winning these first 2 races in '67, and then Lorenzo was killed at Monaco.
Lorenzo was. I mean, there are many race drivers out there. Most of them are very nice people, and we can say all day, oh, he was a nice guy, he was a nice guy. But there's also a thing about respect as well. And obviously Lorenzo had Chris's respect. He had Jim Clark's respect as well, and they were good friends.
Yes,
they were surprisingly close.
Yes, they were.
More than most drivers out there, Jimmy and Lorenzo.
Yes,
and I was actually at Monaco in '67 when Lorenzo had his accident, and I was watching from the station hairpin, and I can clearly remember, I was only a young kid, but I can clearly remember seeing his helmet moving back as he was accelerating out of the hairpin just before his accident. It really looked like he was tiring, and it was Monaco was a 100-lap race.
Yes,
then,
absolutely.
And it was, and that chicane was very quick.
It was very quick, and you know, and there was no power steering in 1967,
And we didn't learn from anything either. I mean, it wasn't the first time somebody had gone off at the chicane there.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Peter Ustinov, I think you were telling me the other day, actually saw Ascari go into the water at Monte Carlo.
Yes, he did. Ustinov was watching at the chicane, and was sort of. Ustinov was a great racing enthusiast, you know, followed it closely, knew what he was watching. Moss was leading in the Mercedes and blew up, and actually just before the chicane, and came through the chicane and then was dropping oil. And Ascari unknowingly inherited the lead because there were no, you know, he hadn't been past the pits anyway, so they couldn't even give him a pit board. But he arrived at the chicane and found Stirling's oil. And at the same time, he was in the Lancia D50, which had a perpetual problem with grabbing and snatching brakes. And the car just went out of control and went through the very, very flimsy sort of, you know, odd poles and sandbags and whatnot, barrier of the exit, and straight into the water. Ustinov saw him come out of the tunnel. He said he came shooting out of the tunnel, and then it was like a sort of trick of the light. Suddenly the car wasn't there anymore, and nobody could quite figure out where it had gone until they saw this cloud of steam and smoke coming up from the water, and it sort of word began to, God almighty, he's in the harbour. And then, you know, he said he did actually start to feel quite sick, because he thought there was such a high chance Ascari would have been knocked unconscious by the impact with the water and would drown. And he said after what seemed an interminable time, finally this light blue helmet sort of appeared on the surface of the water, and Ascari immediately began to swim towards a rescue boat.